You won't believe what Susan Boyle just revealed about her secret comeback. After vanishing from the spotlight for nearly 2 years, the singing sensation who shocked the world is finally breaking her silence about the devastating health crisis that almost ended everything. But what she's planning next? Nobody saw this coming. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're about to uncover the untold truth about one of music's most inspiring comebacks. Picture this: April 1st, 2025. Susan Boyle suddenly appears on Instagram after 2 years of complete silence. Fans thought it was an April Fool's joke. It wasn't. The woman who went from unknown Scottish singer to global phenomenon with over 25 million records sold worldwide had been hiding something that would shock even her closest supporters. 3 years ago, Susan suffered a major stroke that doctors said might end her singing career forever. Not a minor one like initially reported. A major stroke that left her fighting for everything she'd worked for. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. In May 2025, Susan did something doctors said was impossible. She walked back into a recording studio for the first time in 6 years. Her Instagram post that day left fans in tears. Today was wonderful, emotional, and everything in between. I made my return to the recording studio, something I was told I might never achieve again. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a miracle. The journey that brought Susan to this moment is more incredible than any Hollywood script. Born on April 1st, 1961, in a small Scottish town, Susan Magdalene Boyle was the youngest of 10 children. Her parents, Patrick and Bridget, were working-class folks. Her father a miner and World War II veteran, her mother a shorthand typist. When Bridget gave birth to Susan at age 47, complications during delivery deprived the baby of oxygen. Doctors told the family Susan had suffered brain damage. For 48 years, she lived with that label. It was wrong. Growing up in their council house in Blackburn, West Lothian, Susan faced torment that would break most people. Kids at school called her Susie Simple. Teachers, instead of helping, punished her with belts when she couldn't keep up academically. One teacher even locked her in a storage cupboard. The bullying was relentless. When Susan had epileptic seizures in class, a condition that went untreated because nobody understood it, students would gather around her unconscious body, pointing and laughing. But Susan had a secret weapon: her voice. In her local church choir, she found peace. In music, she found purpose. Her mother Bridget recognized this gift and constantly encouraged Susan to audition for Britain's Got Talent when it launched in 2004. Susan always said no. She thought she was too old, too ordinary, too damaged. Everything changed when Bridget passed away in 2007. Susan had been her mother's caregiver through her final illness, and losing her left a void nothing could fill. For months, Susan wouldn't leave the house. Neighbors said she wouldn't answer the door or phone for days. But Bridget's words echoed in her mind. You need to do something with that voice. 2 years later, at age 47, Susan finally found the courage. She took a bus to Glasgow for the Britain's Got Talent auditions. Backstage, younger contestants mocked her appearance. The audience snickered when she walked on stage in her gold lace dress. Judge Simon Cowell asked her age, and when she said 47, people laughed. Amanda Holden rolled her eyes. Then Susan opened her mouth to sing I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables. What happened next broke the internet before breaking the internet was even a thing. The audience leaped to their feet mid-performance. Judges' jaws dropped. Simon Cowell, who'd seen everything in his career, looked genuinely stunned. Within 72 hours, Susan's audition had 2.5 million YouTube views. Within a week, over 100 million. Celebrities like Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher tweeted their support. The woman everyone had written off became the biggest story in the world. But fame came with a price nobody talks about. During the competition finals, Susan was secretly falling apart. The pressure of 5 weeks of intense media scrutiny combined with her undiagnosed conditions pushed her to a breaking point. After finishing second to dance group Diversity, Susan had what witnesses described as a complete breakdown. She threw water at a staff member, screamed that she hated the show, and had to be admitted to the Priory Psychiatric Clinic. Even Prime Minister Gordon Brown expressed concern for her well-being. Here's what the public didn't know. Britain's Got Talent producers had ignored warning signs about Susan's fragile state. The show prioritized ratings over her health. When she emerged from the hospital, Susan made a decision that would define her entire career. She would succeed on her own terms. Her debut album, I Dreamed a Dream, didn't just break records, it obliterated them. Released in November 2009, it sold over 2 million copies worldwide in its first week. It became the fastest-selling debut album by a female artist in history, a record that still stands today. The album eventually sold over 10 million copies, making it one of the best-selling albums of the 21st century. Susan had achieved in months what most artists never achieve in a lifetime. But success couldn't fix everything. In 2011, Susan made a shocking revelation. She'd been living with epilepsy her entire life, and everyone around her had failed to properly address it. Her parents, teachers, and doctors had all mishandled her condition. She recalled having seizures at school where kids would mock her unconscious body. At home, her father would dismiss her struggles, calling her touchy when she asked for help. Then, in 2013, came the revelation that changed everything. After decades of being labeled brain damaged, Susan finally got proper testing. The diagnosis? Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism. There was no brain damage, never had been. For 52 years, Susan had lived with the wrong label, facing discrimination and limitations that never should have existed. The diagnosis was both heartbreaking and liberating. Finally, she understood why she processed things differently. Finally, she could get proper support. That same year, doctors delivered another blow. Susan had type 2 diabetes. The woman who'd found comfort in chocolate throughout her difficult life now had to completely change her habits while adjusting to her autism diagnosis. Lesser people would have given up. Susan kept singing. The next decade brought triumph and tragedy in equal measure. Susan released album after album, each one successful. She performed for Pope Benedict, appeared on Oprah, and was voted by Time magazine as the 7th most influential person in the world. Her net worth grew to an estimated $29.5 million. Yet she chose to remain in her childhood council house, which she purchased for just £111,000. The decision to stay in that modest home revealed something profound about Susan. In 2010, she bought a fancy new house with her earnings. But local troublemakers made her life miserable, throwing stones and trying to break in. She moved back to her childhood home and gave the expensive house to her niece. Fame and fortune couldn't change who Susan was at heart. A simple woman from Scotland who happened to have an extraordinary gift. Family drama threatened to destroy everything she'd built. When Susan gave her brother Jerry £75,000 to save his failing business, other siblings accused her of favoritism. Jerry then publicly accused Susan of lying about him threatening self-harm if she didn't give him the money. The feud tore the family apart until Susan's public breakdown at Heathrow Airport in 2016 brought them back together. Sometimes it takes a crisis to remember what really matters. Speaking of 2016, that's when Susan finally revealed something fans had wondered about for years: her love life. The woman who famously said she'd never been kissed on Britain's Got Talent was secretly dating an American doctor she'd met on tour. She keeps his identity completely private to this day, but sources say they're still together, and he's been her rock through everything that happened next. Nothing could have prepared Susan for 2022. At age 61, she suffered a major stroke that left her unable to sing. Doctors warned she might never perform again. For someone whose entire identity was wrapped up in her voice, it was devastating. Susan disappeared from public view. Her social media went silent. Fans feared the worst. For 3 years, Susan fought a battle nobody saw. She underwent intensive speech therapy just to talk normally again, physical therapy to regain basic functions. The woman who'd filled concert halls couldn't even sing in her shower. In December 2024, she finally opened up about the severity of her stroke. I had a major stroke and I've had to fight my way back. It's taken me 3 years and it's been hard. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But Susan Boyle doesn't know how to quit. In April 2025, on her 64th birthday, she shocked the world by returning to Instagram with a video announcement. "I'm back and working on some wonderful new projects," she declared. Fans couldn't believe it. Neither could the doctors who said she'd never sing again. 1 month later, the impossible happened. Susan returned to the recording studio. Her emotional Instagram post that day revealed the depth of her struggle. "Something I was told I might never achieve again. But here we are, in my happy place." Her manager, Geraldine, who'd stood by her through everything, was in tears. What Susan's planning now will blow your mind. She's not just recording new music, she's got a documentary in production, a drama series about her life and development, and she wants Olivia Colman to play her. She's landed a role in a new Rupert Everett movie and recorded the theme song. A world tour is being planned for later this year. At 64, after surviving a major stroke, Susan's busier than artists a third her age. The most remarkable part? She's doing it all while still living in that same council house in Scotland. Every morning she wakes up in the bedroom where she dreamed of stardom as a bullied child. She makes tea in the kitchen where her mother encouraged her to audition. She practices in the living room where her father once called her touchy. The house that witnessed her struggles now witnesses her triumph. Recently, Susan attended Wimbledon in a stunning white dress, looking radiant and healthy. She posted photos with celebrity chef Marcus Waring, joking about the fancy lunch he'd prepared. The woman who couldn't get a job as a trainee cook now dines with world-famous chefs. The irony isn't lost on her. Susan's story resonates because it proves everything we think we know about success is wrong. Talent doesn't expire at 30. Dreams don't have deadlines. The biggest obstacles often exist only in our minds. When Susan walked onto that Britain's Got Talent stage, she didn't just sing a song. She shattered every stereotype about age, beauty, and possibility. Her upcoming projects promise to be her most ambitious yet. Industry insiders hint that her new album will feature collaborations with major artists. The documentary will reportedly include never-before-seen footage from her childhood and exclusive interviews with family members who've never spoken publicly. The tour will be her first in years, and tickets are expected to sell out in minutes. But perhaps the most inspiring part of Susan's comeback is what she said about her bucket list. It's overflowing. She wants to sing with Josh Groban. She wants to perform at the Sydney Opera House. She wants to record a jazz album. At an age when most people are slowing down, Susan's accelerating. The stroke that almost killed her has somehow made her more determined. When asked if she'll ever retire, Susan laughed. "I want to keep going for as long as I can." Coming from someone who's overcome learning disabilities, autism, epilepsy, diabetes, family trauma, public breakdowns, and a major stroke, that statement carries weight. If Susan Boyle says she's keeping going, you better believe nothing will stop her. The transformation from Susie Simple to global icon worth nearly $30 million isn't just a success story. It's proof that human potential has no limits. Every time someone says you're too old, too different, or too damaged to achieve your dreams, remember Susan Boyle. Remember the woman who was told she had brain damage but had autism. Remember the woman who was told she'd never sing again but returned to the studio. Remember the woman who proved that the only opinion that truly matters is your own. Susan's journey continues, and the best chapters might still be unwritten. With new music, films, and tours on the horizon, the girl from Blackburn who dreamed a dream is living it bigger than ever. The question isn't whether Susan will succeed. She's already proven she's unstoppable. The question is how high she'll soar. So what do you think? Will Susan's comeback be even bigger than her original breakthrough? Let us know in the comments below. And if Susan's story inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from Hollywood's most fascinating stars.